By the time a county is getting a disclaimer report, this means deaths, Ogutu. If you're going to hospitals, there is no medicine. We do not have medicine in our facilities. The markets are not working. So it is a life and death matter, and it must be looked at like as such. So then I'd go straight to what Ledama has also pointed out, that why do we not activate Article 225 of the Constitution? Because it is long overdue, really. To stop funds to any entity that gets a disclaimer report, because that is a serious insult to the taxpayers of this nation, taxpayers that wake up every morning to go and toil, in a sense giving revenue to our counties, and counties are not exhibiting prudence in how they use that fund. So mine would then just be a call to Treasury that Senate has started the discussion, and I'm actually wondering why it did not start with the Assembly, because the first port of call in matters accountability at the county should be the Assembly. But your guess is as good as mine, because the Assembly itself has an adverse opinion, part of the bottom of the pack. So they have no moral authority really to start querying what the executive is doing. But the take is that Treasury must take it seriously. The law gives that opportunity to Treasury, CS Treasury alone. Rotich must be the one to activate Article 225. It will demonstrate and even give him moral authority when he goes around acquiring debts on behalf of the taxpayers, while he has not used a provision of the law that provides that he can move National Assembly not to give funds to any entity that has gotten a disclaimer report. My other concern, Ogutu, from what I've heard from Ledama and the committee, is the fact that only 6% of our budget goes to development. That is a serious problem and really against the Public Financial Management Act. But the critical other issue is to look at our recurrent expenditure, which stated is at 49% for Nairobi County. And for me, I'd want to ask, what is the role of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission in this conversation? Because we, as a Kenyan people, and our constitution, put in place the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that should guide the level of remuneration we pay our state and public officers. But the other angle that the Auditor General has pointed out, and what the committee has also alluded to, is there's a lot of cash payment. While the same government tells us that Kenya has a very high mobile penetration and banking penetration. So it beats logic why we are paying cash, unless these are ghost workers, because you look at the recurrent expenditure and casual laborers that are paid in the county, then you ask yourself, who is this worker does not have an M-Pesa account? Who is this worker does not have a simple bank account that we can put this money in? So these are ghost workers, and we must be very serious and tell our county that these cashless payments must stop. Controller of budget needs to move and say that there is no more withdrawal from the county revenue funds until you demonstrate prudence in what you're withdrawing and for what reason. And lastly, Ogutu, just to mention the fact that the moment that the county is using the resources of the county, not having banked them in the county revenue fund, then it means that it is using the funds aside from the aspirations of the people, because the aspirations of the residents of Nairobi County and other counties are clearly demonstrated in our budget. Okay. So the moment you do not fund this money, then you're using it on your own priorities. So my call really to the taxpayers of Nairobi is, as Senate is having this discussion, the taxpayers of Nairobi must also be having this discussion in the streets, on Twitter, telling the elected leaders and asking the MCAs, why are they not calling this thing out until Senate, which is the upper house, comes down to the counties to look at this thing. Okay. That the place of citizens is crucial, but the priorities also of the citizens, we must, in as much as we are laying the blame on our political class, there's also the part that the citizens must bear. Are we interrogating budget documents, even the few that are there? Because Kimosop has rightly pointed out that few are shared online as the law demands, but even the few that are there, are they, do the citizens and the residents in those counties interrogate those documents? And even second to that, as we interrogate them, what type of leaders are we putting in place? Because I'd look at, say, a county like Turkana, because all the counties are not the same. A citizen in Nairobi County can interrogate those documents, because we generally agree that the education levels of citizens or residents in Nairobi County or most urban counties is on the higher side. But if you look at rural counties, I look at northeastern region, I look at Turkana area, so those citizens cannot be able to look at those quarterly implementation plans that my colleague Kimosop has pointed out. So then it means that the buck still, in as much as citizens, we have done our civic duty to elect leaders. So the leaders must do what we have put them in the place in that place to do, because some of these documents are not documents that an ordinary citizen can interrogate. So the middle class, a citizen, needs to take that on behalf of all the citizens. So the Kenyans on Twitter needs to interrogate this on behalf of our sisters and brothers who do not have capacity to interrogate them. But aside from that, the people we have elected must, because the buck really stops with them. We have put you in that position. And my colleague Kim also mentioned out the issue of capacity building. But how long do we capacity build these elected leaders? Because by the time we've taken you on office, we've taken you to office because we know that you have that capacity. So we take some more of our funds to capacity build you for how long? And there are some areas I can tell you, Linda, that you can capacity build. But there are areas that is outright theft. You cannot capacity build someone who's hell-bound on stealing the money. So there are two different things we need to look at. Where we agree that there is a gap in expertise, that we are willing to do capacity building. But there are those people that we must call the DPP on, we must call the ethics and anti-corruption on, and we as the taxpayers must send them home. 5 years is a long time, and if we continue getting an E, and as Kim Osop has put it in context, an E is a missed education for a young child, so this child is an educated person for life. If you look at our hospitals, we have lost a mother's life, we have lost a child. So an E is just not something on a paper that we will call the lowest of a grade. But an E has a great impact. And this is not a rehearsal where we can replay. So 5 years is a really, really long time. So my encouragement really to the taxpayers, have the right people on board. And when you have the wrong ones who have come in by whatever way, or we brought them in as the good ones, and they change, because that happens. We bring a very good set, but they just get in, and we wonder whether this is the right person that we brought. Their manifesto, what they spoke to us, is what we do not see it every day. So let us send these people home as soon as possible. Let us use our electoral system to just get rid of people who are not adding value to the hard-paying taxes that we are giving to the system. My last word is, indeed, we have independent institutions, Linda, from the Controller of Budgets, the Auditor General's Office, Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So my call to them, as the institutions that we as the taxpayers have put our hope in terms of monitoring and watching of our taxes, is that the independent tag on their names is just not a name, but their actions must match the fact that they're independent institutions. They must rise to the occasion, and they must defend the taxpayers. And in the case where the political heat is too much, as in most instances it is, from what we've heard from Sonko saying that this is because the money that was asked from him was not given to the Auditor General, hence the bad report. So these things are coming at a time. Why didn't he say that earlier? Why is it coming out right now? So our call to the independent institutions, let them be independent in their action. And ours as taxpayers is to tell them that we are solidly behind them, that when that political is too much, the heat is too much, let them run to the taxpayers, because at the end of the day, it is our money that they are watching after, and we do appreciate the role of these independent institutions. Thank you.
Irene Otieno, National Coordinator, Taxpayers Association, thank you for your time.